Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Global trade relies on vast shipping lanes that crisscross our oceans, forming the invisible highways of the modern world. Every day thousands of ships traverse these routes, carrying everything from electronics and clothing to food and fuel. In fact, container ships are responsible for transporting about 80% of all goods traded worldwide, making them the lifeblood of our global economy. Without them, the shelves in our stores would quickly empty, and industries would grind to a halt. These massive vessels are the backbone of our interconnected world, but the system is more fragile than it appears. It depends on a handful of critical shortcuts, man-made canals that allow ships to avoid long, perilous detours. Man-made canals like the Suez and Panama are vital arteries of commerce, saving ships thousands of miles and weeks of travel time. They are engineering marvels that have reshaped global trade. For example, the Suez Canal alone cuts over 6,000 miles off a typical China to Europe journey, allowing goods to move faster and more efficiently between continents. Meanwhile, the Panama Canal connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, letting ships avoid the treacherous and time-consuming route around the southern tip of South America. This shortcut has transformed trade between the Americas, Asia, and Europe. These canals dictate the speed, cost, and reliability of global supply chains. Their efficiency determines how quickly products reach factories, stores, and ultimately, our homes. When everything runs smoothly, goods flow seamlessly across continents, keeping prices stable and shelves stocked. The world economy depends on this delicate balance. But a single disruption, a ship stuck, a blockage, or even a security threat, can send shockwaves through global markets, causing delays, shortages, and sudden price spikes. The world's reliance on these shortcuts is only growing as trade volumes increase, making any threat to their operation a major concern for businesses and governments alike. Companies now depend on just-in-time delivery systems, which require goods to arrive exactly when needed. This efficiency is only possible because of the predictable schedules these canals provide. This streamlined system has lowered costs, expanded consumer choice, and made products from around the world accessible to more people. But it also means that any disruption can have far-reaching consequences. Recent events have forced nations and industry leaders to ask a critical question: are our most important trade routes secure enough to withstand the challenges of the future, or are we risking too much by relying so heavily on these narrow passages? The Suez and Panama Canals are facing mounting challenges that threaten their reliability. The Panama Canal is suffering from severe drought, slashing daily ship traffic and creating costly bottlenecks. Meanwhile, the Suez Canal faces security threats with attacks in the Red Sea, forcing major shipping companies to reroute around Africa, adding weeks and costs. The 2021 Ever Given blockage showed how a single accident can paralyze global trade. Climate change, political conflict, and operational risks have turned these canals into sources of uncertainty. Businesses now face unpredictable shipping costs and delays, making planning difficult. This constant crisis is pushing nations, especially export giants like China, to consider radical alternatives. The search for a new, resilient trade route is on. China is reportedly exploring a $50 billion canal project, with possible sites in Nicaragua or Thailand. The goal: create a new maritime shortcut under Chinese influence, reducing dependence on vulnerable, foreign-controlled canals. This fits into China's Belt and Road Initiative, aiming to secure supply chains and expand global influence. As the world's largest exporter, China is uniquely exposed to disruptions in global shipping. The Panama Canal is in America's sphere, and the Suez is threatened by Middle East conflicts, both risky for Beijing. A new canal would offer China a crucial alternative, bypassing choke points and geopolitical pressures. Alongside Arctic route exploration, China is determined to diversify its trade routes and guarantee its economic engine keeps running. Sir Standan Awen Shobro Brand. Imagine a new canal slicing through Thailand's Kra Isthmus, a project that could revolutionize global shipping. By providing a direct route between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, this canal could save ships several days of travel and billions of dollars in fuel and operating costs every year. For shipping companies, time is money, and this shortcut would be a game changer, especially for vessels carrying goods between East Asia and Europe. Currently, the congested Strait of Malacca is one of the world's busiest maritime choke points, with hundreds of ships waiting their turn. A new canal would allow vessels to bypass this bottleneck entirely, making Chinese exports not only faster, but also cheaper and more competitive on the world stage. If Chinese vessels receive preferential access or lower tolls, they could gain a lasting advantage in global trade, potentially shifting the balance of economic power in the region. The introduction of a third major canal would challenge the dominance of the Suez and Panama Canals, breaking their duopoly. Increased competition could drive down shipping costs and help stabilize global freight rates, benefiting importers and exporters worldwide. With more routes available, the risk of global trade grinding to a halt due to a single choke point, like a blockage or accident, would be greatly reduced, making the entire system more resilient. For the host country, the economic impact could be enormous. Thousands of new jobs would be created, from construction to logistics, and new infrastructure would spring up, connecting local economies to the world. For developing nations, hosting such a canal could be truly transformative, lifting communities out of poverty and accelerating modernization. China's broader strategy is to use these ambitious infrastructure projects to forge new partnerships, deepen economic ties, and extend its influence across continents. The ripple effects would be felt far beyond China, potentially boosting trade, investment, and prosperity for countries around the globe. Yet despite the promise of prosperity, such a massive undertaking comes with enormous risks and uncertainties that cannot be ignored. Building a $50 billion canal is a colossal challenge, starting with the immense financial burden. The sheer scale of investment required is staggering, and the risks are just as enormous. Securing enough investment for a project that could take decades to complete is a daunting task. Investors are wary, and history is littered with the remains of failed mega-infrastructure projects that ran out of money or support before reaching completion. Political instability in the host country could scare off investors and derail the project at any stage. Changes in government, civil unrest, or shifting alliances can all threaten the canal's future. Environmental costs are staggering: excavation, deforestation, and ecosystem disruption on a massive scale. The project could permanently alter landscapes, destroy habitats, and threaten endangered species, sparking outrage from environmental groups worldwide. Local and international opposition could cause years of delays and legal battles. Lawsuits, protests, and regulatory hurdles might stall progress, adding to costs and uncertainty. Geopolitical risks are high. A Chinese-controlled canal in America's backyard would provoke fierce U.S. resistance. The project could become a flashpoint in global power struggles, drawing in rival nations and complicating international relations. The host nation could face internal backlash over sovereignty and foreign control. Citizens may fear losing control of their land and resources, fueling protests and political instability. Engineering challenges are immense, from difficult terrain to the need for state-of-the-art locks and constant maintenance. The canal must withstand natural disasters, heavy traffic, and the test of time. Any technical failure could be catastrophic, both financially and environmentally. A single accident or structural flaw could halt operations, cause massive spills, or even endanger lives. The path from ambition to reality is fraught with peril. Every stage of the project is shadowed by risk, and only time will tell if the grand vision can overcome these daunting obstacles. The idea of a Chinese-backed canal alarms the US and Europe. For Washington, it's a direct challenge. China controlling a strategic asset in the Americas is unacceptable. The US is using diplomacy and economic incentives to dissuade host countries, warning of debt traps and loss of sovereignty. America is also promoting its own infrastructure initiatives as alternatives to China's Belt and Road. Europe shares US concerns about China's growing power, but also sees economic opportunities in a new shipping route. European governments are balancing security alliances with the US against potential business gains. Their response is less confrontational, focusing on regulation and diplomacy. The West is determined to offer credible alternatives and keep global trade rules fair. Whether China's canal will reshape global shipping or collapse under its own ambition depends on economics, politics, and practicality. Success would break the Suez-Panama duopoly, lower costs, and cement China's dominance in global trade. But the risks, financial, environmental, and geopolitical, are immense. The host nation's stability and global opposition could derail the project at any stage. More likely, the threat of a new canal will spur upgrades and competition among existing routes. The mere possibility could reshape global trade dynamics, even if the canal is never built. For China, it's a bold gamble to secure its economic future. Whether it redraws the map or becomes a cautionary tale will define the next era of global trade.